We've been living in very stressful times, and I want to help you relax by reading some Christmas stories for Christmas, because we still need to think of the positives, and I think these stories are very much positive stories, so I hope that you agree. I have 3 of them. So the first one is The Candy Maker's Gift by David and Helen Haidle. So this is the story of how candy canes came to be. Let's take off the dust jacket. Okay. So I think this picture is absolutely beautiful. So again, this is The Candy Maker's Gift, a legend of the candy cane. There's the dedication page. Long ago, on a cold, wintry morning, a warm light glowed in the windows of a candy shop. The old candy maker shuffled to the front door and hung an open sign in the window. Turning to the pot-bellied stove, he knelt down to stir the coals and add several logs to the fire. All the while he smiled, thinking about his 7-year-old granddaughter. What can I give my Katie girl for Christmas, he wondered. I'd like to surprise her with a special gift. I really like the illustrations in this book. Just the way it's painted. I really like it. I think it's a very warm feeling. That's just what we need this year, isn't it? Reaching under the counter, the candy maker pulled out an old trunk. He unpacked a hand-carved nativity set and carefully arranged the large figures on the ledge of the window. He went right to work, refilling candy jars with jelly beans, butterscotch drops, mints, and candy sticks. He chuckled as he thought about the village children. He knew them all by name, and he knew all their favorite candies. So you can see all the candies. Looking over his list of Christmas orders, the old man marked an X beside the names of the families with children. I'll add an extra candy treat for these youngsters, he said to himself. I wish I could see their faces when they find the little surprise. Humming a Christmas carol, he opened the cupboard and took out an assortment of containers for the orders he needed to fill. Suddenly, the doorbells jingled as a blast of wind and snow blew into the shop. To the old man's delight, a group of children scurried inside like a flock of little birds. Laughing and talking, they crowded around the candy case to buy treats. The youngest boy pressed his warm mittens against the glass case, staring at the candy display. The candy maker knew times were hard for Joey's family since his father died. Everyone except Joey laid their coins on the counter and selected their treats. The old man chatted with the children while he packed their candies in small bags and tied them with red ribbons. So there's that drawing. I can't wait to decorate our house and tree tonight, said Ben. I can't wait to get a new China doll for Christmas, bragged little Sarah. The other girls said nothing. The old man knew most families would have few gifts this year. Kimberly spoke up. Our school party is this Friday. We're going to eat cookies and play games. The candy maker laughed. That will be fun for all of you. Hearing the clock chime, Ben announced, "Time for school." Quickly handing out their sacks, the old man filled an extra bag and gave it to Joey, whose eyes lit up with joy. See, the giving time. It's this time of year, but we should be giving all year round. "Thank you. Merry Christmas," called the children as they scrambled out of the door. Watching from the window, the old man glanced down at the manger set his father carved many years ago. "I hope the children won't miss the best gift of Christmas," he thought as he walked back to the back of his shop, where he knelt by the chair to pray. "Dear Lord, you love these children more than I do. I want to help them and know you and receive your gift of Christmas. Show me how I can bless them." Gripping the chair, the candy maker pulled himself up. After he wiped the tears from his eyes, he measured sugar and corn syrup into an old iron kettle, then lit a fire in the kitchen stove. Patiently, he stirred the mixture, waiting for it to boil. When the syrup began to bubble, a smile lit up his face. "That's what I'll do. I'll make a new candy for Katie and all the children. A candy that tells about Christmas." "What flavor should it be?" "Katie likes peppermint." Picking up a small brown bottle, he carefully poured 3 drops into the pot and took a deep breath. This minty aroma reminds me of the spices the wise men gave Jesus." "I want this candy to be different. I should make it white because Jesus lived a pure and sinless life, something I could never do. I'll make this a hard candy, not soft or chewy, because Jesus is like a solid rock, dependable and trustworthy." After pouring the thick gold syrup into the bowl to cool, the candy maker looked around his shop, searching for ideas. What else could this candy say about Jesus? Greasing his hands with butter, he lifted the sticky glob from the bowl and began to stretch it. The more he pulled, the smoother and wider it became. "Dear Lord, show me what to do with this candy," he prayed. Pausing to look at the nativity set, an idea flashed in his mind. He quickly hand-rolled a clump of the mixture into the shape of a rope. After cutting off a short piece, he gently curved one end. Triumphantly, he held it up and smiled. And what will Katie say when she sees this? Those illustrations. The jingling doorbells interrupted the candy maker's thoughts. "Hi, Grandpa, I'm here." A rosy-cheeked girl skipped across the room, laying down his candy stick. The old man turned to hug her. "Hello, Katie. How's my favorite granddaughter?" She laughed. "Oh, Grandpa, you know I'm your only granddaughter." "Yes, I know, but you're still my favorite." Katie's eyes widened when she spotted the candy stick. "What are you making, Grandpa? It's a strange shape." The candy maker sat down to watch her. "What do you think?" He wrinkled his brows, waiting for her answer. She grinned while turning the stick sideways and all around. "I know, it's a cane, like the one you take on your walks." The old man grinned. "You're right, it does look like my cane." Katie pointed to the nativity set. "Look, the shepherd has one too." "It's called a staff," he explained. "Sometimes the shepherd lays the staff gently on a sheep's back to show love, like a warm hug. The staff comforts the sheep. It also guides them on the right path." Its hook helps rescue sheep when their woolly coats get snagged in thorny bushes. Shepherds use their staff to pull sheep away from the danger, like a snake or a poisonous plant, or a sharp drop off on a cliff. Smiling at her, he urged, "Go ahead and taste it." While Katie licked the sweet stick, he continued, "A good shepherd loves his sheep. He will do anything, even give his own life to save his flock." The staff can remind us that Jesus is our good shepherd. The candy maker cut another piece and curved it in. Turning the stick upside down, he asked Katie, "Now what do you see?" Her eyes lit up. "It's a J. Why did you make it a J?" He smiled. "You guess." "Oh, I know. J is for Jesus." "Yes, Katie. Christmas is the time we celebrate the birthday of Jesus. This Candy's J is my special Christmas gift for you." "Thank you, Grandpa. It's yummy and smells good too, but it looks kind of plain. It needs some color." You're right, he agreed. "I wanted the candy to be white because Jesus is holy and sinless. Let's try adding a color." "Use red," suggested Katie. "I like red for Christmas." After selecting a jar from the cupboard, he picked out a small paintbrush in the drawer. "What does red make you think of?" he asked. Katie watched her grandfather dip his brush into the food coloring. "Red makes me think of hearts and love," she said. "Ah, you're helping me, dear girl," he replied while he carefully swirled a red stripe around the white cane. "The Bible tells us, for God so loved the world, he gave his one and only Son. Oh, Katie, may you never forget the very first Christmas gift." "Was baby Jesus the first gift?" she asked. Her grandfather nodded. "He was God's gift of love to the whole world. Red can remind us of God's love," he spoke softly as he painted a thick line on the stick. "Red is also the color of blood. The big red stripe is a special reminder of how Jesus shed his blood for us on the cross." Oh, I almost forgot to show you all the picture. "It makes me sad that Jesus died," said Katie. "Yes, dear girl, it is sad, but Jesus showed how much he loved us by giving his life so we could be forgiven. When you taste the sweet candy, think about his sweet love. Remember, Jesus isn't dead, he's alive. Isn't that a good reason to be happy?" Katie nodded. "Someday we'll live in heaven just like Grandma." Tears blurred the old man's vision. "Yes, we will. Heaven is God's gift that lasts forever." His eyes glistened as he handed Katie the finished candy. "Watch how you hold it. It's still wet." The elderly shopkeeper leaned back in his chair. "What do you think of this candy, Katie girl?" "I like it, Grandpa. I want to give it to all my friends and tell them what it means. Will you make some more?" "Yes," he promised. "We'll work together. After I cut each stick, you can shape one end into a cane. You can even help paint the stripes." "This is going to be fun," she said, jumping up and down. Tears filled his eyes while he silently prayed. "Thank you, dear Lord, for hearing my prayers, and thank you for sending Katie to help me." The old man leaned forward and smiled at his granddaughter. "Katie, dear, you were part of God's answers to my prayers today. I wanted to give you a special gift for Christmas, but you gave me a special gift. You helped me make a candy that tells the real meaning of Christmas, a candy that reminds us of Jesus." Katie threw her arms around his neck. "Oh, Grandpa, I love you. I'm glad I could help you." "Let's thank God for helping us," he said. Okay, last page. Together they knelt to thank God, and they prayed to that their candy gift would help many people know the true meaning of Christmas. Outside, the snow fell quietly and blanketing the little store. Inside the warmth of the wood stove, the sweet smell of candy filled the workshop. The candy maker and Katie knew they would always remember this day, but they never dreamed this sweet gift would become part of Christmas traditions around the world. Today we call it the candy cane. So then we also have some verses from the Bible describing the meaning of the candy cane and just how you can make your own candy cane and ideas of crafts you can do with candy canes and all of that, and then more Bible verses. So that is our first story today. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. That's our only kind of religious one, but I don't think you have to be religious to enjoy that. I think it's really a story of family and how we should be thankful for our family, especially at this time of year. So our next story is a fun one. I don't want to say it's more of a fun one because I don't want to say that story was not fun, but we have The Elf on the Shelf. I'm sure some of you have elves on the shelves. So this is a Christmas tradition, I cannot talk, by Carol V. Arbisold and Shanda A. Bell, illustrated by Co. Steinwert. So this is it. Let's take off the dust jacket. You get one of these books when you get an elf. At least you used to. So this one is a shorter book, which is more fun. Look at those pretty thin pages. Title page. Okay, right into the story. Have you ever wondered how Santa can know if you're naughty or nice each year as you grow? For hundreds of years, it's been a big secret. It now can be shared if you promise to keep it. So again, this looks like it was painted like watercolor. At holiday time, Santa sends me to you. I watch and report on all that you do. My job's an assignment from Santa himself. I am his helper, a friendly scout elf. So be sure to look for the elf in all the pictures that I show you, because he is hiding somewhere. The first time I come to the place you call home, you quickly must give me a name of my own. Once you are finished, my mission can start. What will you call me? Markle or Zart? Will it be Foddle, Criddle, or Clyde? Fizby's cute too, but you must decide. I see the name of my elf. My elf's name is Fred, and then we have a nameless elf currently. Each night while you're sleeping, to Santa I'll fly, to the North Pole, right through the dark sky. Of course, Christmas magic helps me to be quick. I laugh with my friends and report to St. Nick. Look at all the little elves, they're so cute. I got lipstick on. What am I doing? I tell him if you've been good or been bad. The news of the day makes him happy or sad. A push or a shove, I'll report to the boss. But small acts of kindness will not be a loss. In the car, at the park, or even at school, the word will get out if you broke a rule. I'll be back at your home before you awake, and then you must find the new spot I will take. You'll jump out of bed and come running to see who will be the first to spy little old me. So where is he? Oh, I see. Look at you. Maybe the kitchen, the bathroom, or den is where you will find me, your special elf friend. I can hide on a plant, a shelf, or a frame. Where will I be? Let's make it a game. There's only one rule that you have to follow, so I will come back and be here tomorrow. Please do not touch me, my magic might go, and Santa won't hear all I've seen or I know. That would not be good. I won't get to tell him you've said your prayers or helped to bake cookies or cleaned off the stairs. How will he know how good you have been? He might start to think you forgot about him. I can't speak to you, so says Santa Claus. All of us elves have to follow his laws. I listen to you, tell me your wishes. Would you like a game or some tiny toy dishes? The gleam in my eyes and my bright little smile, it shows you I'm listening and noting your file. The final decision was Santa now rest. What do you think? Will you get your request? The night before Christmas, my job's at an end. The rest of the year with Santa I'll spend. So he leaves on Christmas Eve. Goes back to the North Pole. So your elf is probably already back. Or at least in Santa's sleigh. So blow me a kiss. Bid me a farewell. I'll fly away when I hear Santa's bell. Of course I will miss you, but wait till next year. When the holidays come, I'll again reappear. Oh, it's so cute. Until then, I wish every girl and boy a Christmas of peace and a year full of joy. And that is the story of the elf on the shelf. So let's put it back in its dust jacket to keep the books protected. We always need to respect what we own. And we own books, so we need to respect them. So we have one more story. This is my favorite Christmas story movie book. I haven't read the book in years, so this is going to be the first time. And that is The Polar Express. It says it's by Chris Von Allsburg. And this book does have the Caldecott medal. So let's get into it. See in pages for this one. A snowy scene. Oh. The Polar Express. Here we go. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds. Though not of ringing bells. From outside came sounds of hissing steam and squawking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest and then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe. I tiptoed downstairs and out the door. "All aboard!" the conductor cried out, and I ran up to him. "Well," he said, "are you coming?" "Where?" I asked. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," was his answer. "This is the Polar Express." I took his outstretched hand, and he pulled me aboard. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies with nougat centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northwards. Soon there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. Oh, this is a pretty picture. We climbed mountains so high it seemed as if we would scrape the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner, sailing on a frozen sea. "There," said the conductor, "is the North Pole." The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world. Photo factories, every Christmas toy was made. At first we saw no elves. "They are gathering at the center of the city," the conductor told us. "This is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas." "Who receives the first gift?" we all asked. The conductor answered, "He will choose one of you." "Look," shouted one of the children, "the elves!" Outside we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no further, we stopped and the conductor let us outside. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harness. It was a magical sound, like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and led us and pointing to me and said, "Let's have this fellow here." He jumped into his sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee and he asked, "Now, what would you like for Christmas?" I know that I could have any gift I could imagine, but the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from a reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood holding the bell high above him and called out, "The first gift of Christmas." A clock struck the cut a bell from a reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood holding the bell high above him and called out, "The first gift of Christmas." clock struck midnight. As the elves roared their approval, Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us and then disappeared in the cold, dark polar sky. Oh. Okay, so it cut me off. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a hole. I had lost the silver bell from Santa's sleigh. "Let's hurry outside and look for it," one of the children said, but the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. Okay. It broke my heart to lose that bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. "What?" I yelled. He kept his hands around his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell. There was a note. "Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C." I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father, "it's broken." When I had shaken the bell, my parents had not heard a sound. It's so sad. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me as it does for all who truly believe. So I hope you guys enjoyed these Christmas stories. I know that I did, and I hope all of you had a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season, and I will see you